Take your holiday green bean casserole from bland to brilliant with Hatfield Classic Cut Bacon. Start with your traditional casserole recipe. Then add a generous layer of crispy chopped Hatfield bacon on top. The rich, smoky flavor takes this holiday classic from side dish to showstopper. Your guests will savor the upgrade and return for seconds and even thirds. More holiday recipe inspiration awaits at simplyhatfield.com. Hatfield. Better care, better pork, better holidays.
Welcome, restless souls, to Carman's Crypt. I'm Carman, keeper of forgotten tales and curator of nightmares. You've wandered into my domain, where each week I unearth a fresh horror from the depths of human imagination. In these darkened halls, stories wait like hungry shadows. Each tale we've collected whispers of terrors both ancient and new. From crumbling mansions where something skitters behind the walls, to that strange text message you received at 3 a.m. from a number that shouldn't exist. So gather close. The candles are lit, the shadows grow long, and the witching hour is upon us. Are you prepared to face what lurks in the darkest recesses of Carman's Crypt? Lock your doors, still your nerves, and remember, here, every fear comes to life. This is Carman's Crypt. Your sanctuary of scares awaits. The hand-painted sign at the end of Hollow's Deep Road had been there since before anyone could remember. Whitmore's Christmas trees, cut your own, established 1847. Most folks in Millfield County drove the extra 30 miles to the big commercial lot near the interstate, where the trees came pre-netted and the hot chocolate was reliably warm. But some families still made the pilgrimage down that rutted dirt road, past the rusted mailboxes and collapsing tobacco barns, to where the Whitmore farm nestled in a hollow between two wooded hills. Shay Middleton had never heard of the place until her neighbor Mrs. Hartwell mentioned it over the fence separating their suburban backyards. "Oh, honey, you simply must try Whitmore's," the elderly woman had insisted, her eyes bright with something that wasn't quite nostalgia. "They have the most beautiful trees, been in business for generations. It's a real tradition." Shay had moved to North Carolina from Seattle just 6 months ago for her job at the university, and she was still learning the local customs. The idea of cutting down her own Christmas tree appealed to her. It seemed authentically Southern, the kind of experience she could tell her friends back home about. So on the Saturday before Christmas, she bundled up her 8-year-old daughter Ellie and followed Mrs. Hartwell's direction to Hollow's Deep Road. The drive took them deep into the countryside, past trailer homes with Christmas lights strung haphazardly across their porches, and weathered farmhouses where smoke curled from stone chimneys. The road grew narrower with each mile, until Spanish moss draped from the oak trees formed a canopy overhead, filtering the pale December sunlight into an underwater green. "Mommy, are we lost?" Ellie asked from the back seat, looking up from her tablet. "No, sweetie. Mrs. Hartwell said it was at the very end of the road." And it was. The pavement gave way to gravel, then to dirt, and finally they emerged into a clearing where a small farmhouse squatted beside a weathered barn. Acres of evergreen trees stretched up the hillside in neat rows, their dark branches heavy with recent rain. A pickup truck was parked near the house, its tailgate down, revealing chainsaws and coils of rope. As Shay parked her sedan, a man emerged from the barn. He was perhaps 60, with graying hair and clothes that had seen better decades. His face was pleasant enough, lined but kind, with pale blue eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "You folks here for a tree?" he called out, approaching their car. "Yes, we are. I'm Shay and this is Ellie." Shay gestured to her daughter, who hung back shyly. "Welcome to Whitmore's. I'm Ezra." He touched the rim of his faded baseball cap. "Been in the family since my great-great-grandfather planted the first seedlings. You picked a good day. We still got plenty of nice ones left." Shay noticed his accent was thicker than most of the locals she'd met, each word drawn out like molasses. There was something else, too, a careful way he spoke, as if he were translating his thoughts from another language. "How much for a tree?" she asked. Depends on the size. But we could settle up after you find one you like. No sense worrying about money before you fall in love.
We know you're uncertain about psychics. Is this fortune teller you found on a forum legit?
Your one true love is...
me!
That's why California Psychics reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. New customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Ezra chuckled, but his eyes remained serious. Fair warning, though. Might take a while to pick the right one. Christmas trees are particular things. They choose you as much as you choose them. Ellie perked up at this. Trees can't choose people, mister. Can't they? Ezra's smile widened. Well, I reckon we'll see about that. He led them up into the grove, past a hand-lettered sign that read Fraser Firs, $8 per foot. The trees were indeed beautiful, perfectly shaped and full, their needles a rich green that seemed to glow in the filtered light. Shay had expected to walk the rows methodically, measuring and comparing, but something drew her deeper into the grove, past the newer plantings to where older trees grew in irregular clusters. These ones here are special, Ezra said, as if reading her thoughts. Been growing wild for decades. My grandfather always said the land knew what it wanted, and sometimes it wanted trees in places we didn't plant them. The trees here were larger, more varied in shape. Some twisted skyward like cathedral spires, while others spread their branches wide enough to shelter a small car. Spanish moss draped from the upper branches, giving them an ethereal, ancient quality that made Shay think of fairy tales. Oh, Mommy, look at this one! Ellie ran toward a tree that stood slightly apart from the others. It was perhaps 8 feet tall, with a perfect triangular shape and branches so symmetrical they might have been arranged by a florist. Shay had to admit it was stunning, but as she approached, she felt an odd reluctance, as if she were intruding on something private. The tree seemed almost too perfect, its needles so dark they appeared black in the shadows, its trunk straight as a ship's mast. That's a fine choice, Ezra said quietly. Been waiting here a long time for the right family. How long? Shay asked. Ezra's pale eyes grew distant. Oh, I'd say about 15, 16 years now. Grew up right in that spot. Never had to plant it. Sometimes the old ones seed themselves. There was something in his tone that made Shay pause. The old ones? Well, you know how it is. Trees that old. They got their own ways. Their own memories, you might say. Shay felt a chill that had nothing to do with the December air. She glanced at Ellie, who was already hugging the tree's trunk, her small arms barely reaching around its circumference. I love this one, Mommy. Can we please take it home? I don't know, sweetheart. It's awfully big. Nonsense, Ezra said. It'll fit just fine. I've got a good eye for these things. Tell you what, why don't you ladies head back to the house while I cut it down? Get yourselves warm. My wife's got hot cider on the stove. Before Shay could object, he was walking back toward the barn, leaving them alone with the tree. Ellie continued to circle it, chattering about where they'd place it in their living room, but Shay found herself studying the ground around its base. The earth was darker here, richer, as if something had been feeding the soil for years. And now that she looked closer, she could see other things, small objects half buried in the dirt. A child's toy car, its red paint faded to pink, a tarnished locket on a broken chain, a small cross, the kind given at communion. Ellie, come away from there. But Mommy... Now. Something in her tone made Ellie obey without argument. They walked back down the hill in silence, past the neat rows of younger trees that now seemed somehow ordinary. almost disappointing after the wild majesty of the older grove. The farmhouse was warm and cluttered, filled with the smell of cinnamon and wood smoke. A woman who might have been Ezra's age bustled around a small kitchen, her gray hair pinned back in a style that belonged to another decade. "You must be the tree folks," she said, not turning from the stove. "I'm Mabel. Hope you found something to your liking." "Yes, ma'am." Ellie picked out a beautiful one. "Oh, I'm sure she did. Children always know." Mabel finally turned, and Shay saw that her eyes were the same pale blue as her husband's, though they held a sadness that seemed bone deep. "They see things we adults miss sometimes." She poured cider from a large pot, the liquid steaming as it filled mismatched mugs. Shay accepted hers gratefully, wrapping her hands around the warm ceramic. "Have you lived here long?" Shay asked, making conversation. "All my life," Mabel replied. "Born in this house. Married Ezra right here in the front parlor. Raised our children here." "How many children do you have?" The question hung in the air for a long moment. Mabel's hand stilled on the pot handle. "We had 3, she said finally. "All grown now." But there was something wrong with the way she said it, a hollowness that suggested grief rather than pride. Shay was about to ask more when Ellie tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy, can I use the bathroom?" "Down the hall, sweetie. First door on the right." As Ellie's footsteps disappeared into the house, Mabel moved closer to Shay, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You picked the old tree, didn't you? The one up in the wild grove?" Shay nodded, unsure why the admission felt like a confession. "I thought so. It calls to certain folks." Mabel's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Always picks families with children. Has for years. I don't understand." "Course you don't. Nobody ever does. Not at first." Mabel glanced toward the hallway, making sure Ellie was out of earshot. "That tree's been standing in the same spot for nigh on 20 years. Never gets cut, never gets sold. But every December, it calls to someone new." "Mrs. Whitmore, you're scaring me." "Good. You should be scared." Mabel's voice was fierce now, urgent. "Take your little girl and leave. Tell Ezra you changed your mind. Get any other tree on this farm, but not that one." "Why? What's wrong with it?" Before Mabel could answer, Ellie's scream pierced the air. Shay ran down the hallway, following the sound to what appeared to be a child's bedroom. Ellie stood frozen in the doorway, pointing at something inside. Shay looked past her daughter and felt her blood turn to ice. The room was a shrine. 3 beds lined the walls, each made up with faded quilts and stuffed animals worn smooth by loving hands. But it was the photographs covering every surface that made Shay's breath catch. Dozens of pictures showing the same 3 children at different ages. A boy who might have been 10, twin girls perhaps a year younger than Ellie. In every photo, they were smiling, but their eyes held a strange, distant quality, as if they were looking at something beyond the camera. And in the most recent photographs, they were standing beside a Christmas tree. The same tree Ellie had chosen. "Mommy," Ellie whispered, "why do they look so sad?" Shay didn't understand. She was reading the neat labels beneath each photo, written in a woman's careful script. Billy's Last Christmas, 2008. The Twins' Final Holiday, 2009. Our Baby's Homecoming, December 2010. "You shouldn't be in here." Shay spun to find Ezra standing behind them, his kind face now grave with an expression she couldn't read. "Those are your children?" Shay's voice came out as a croak. "Were. They've been gone a long time now." "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "Course you didn't. How could you?" Ezra stepped into the room, his fingers trailing over one of the photographs. "Accident on the interstate. Christmas morning 2007. Ice storm. They were coming home from their grandmother's. Shay felt Ellie press against her side, small and warm and alive. I can't imagine losing a child, let alone 3. You don't lose them, Ezra said quietly. Not really. They go somewhere else for a while. Somewhere you can't follow. He picked up a photograph from the nightstand, the 3 children standing beside the tree, their arms linked, their faces bright with anticipation. But now Shay noticed something else in their expressions, a knowledge that seemed too old for their young faces. Unless, Ezra continued, you find a way to bring them back. The words hung in the air like smoke. Shay felt a crawling sensation between her shoulder blades, the primitive awareness of being trapped. The tree, she whispered. The tree, Ezra confirmed, grew up right where they're buried, fed on their sweetness, their innocence. And every December when the veil gets thin, it calls to other children, other families. Shay grabbed Ellie's hand and tried to push past Ezra, but he didn't move. His pale eyes held hers, and she saw the madness lurking in their depths, the kind of insanity that came from grief too large for the human heart to contain. You can't leave now, he said gently. Not after you've chosen. The tree won't let you. From outside came the sound of a chainsaw starting up. Run, Ellie. Shay shoved her daughter toward the window, but the glass wouldn't budge. She could see their car in the driveway below, so close it might have been another planet. It's no use, Mabel's voice came from the doorway. She was holding a tray with 3 steaming mugs. The cider's got a little something extra in it, just to make things easier. Shay noticed that Ellie was swaying on her feet, her eyelids heavy. With horror, she realized her own vision was beginning to blur too. Please, she whispered. She's just a baby. So were ours, Mabel said sadly. But the tree gives them back, you see? Not the same, maybe, but close enough. Close enough to fill the empty spaces. As Shay's legs gave out beneath her, she caught a glimpse through the window of Ezra loading their perfect Christmas tree into his pickup truck. Its dark branches seemed to writhe in the afternoon light, and she could swear she saw shapes moving within its depths. Small forms that might have been children, or shadows, or something in between. The last thing she remembered was Ellie's hand in hers, growing cold as winter earth. The Whitmore Christmas tree farm remained in business for exactly one more day. On December 23rd, a state trooper conducting a routine patrol noticed smoke rising from the hollow at the end of Hollow's Deep Road. By the time the fire department arrived, both the house and barn had burned to the foundation, taking Ezra and Mabel Whitmore with them. The official report blamed faulty wiring in the old house. What it didn't mention was the single Christmas tree found standing in the ruins, untouched by the flames. Its dark needles still held their color, and its branches seemed to reach toward the gray December sky like arms in supplication. Or the fact that when they cut it down, they found 5 small skeletons wrapped around its roots, their bones white as fresh snow. The land was eventually sold to developers who turned it into a subdivision called Christmas Tree Estates. The families who moved there reported that their children sometimes spoke of playmates who only appeared in December. Pale, quiet children who knew games from long ago and always wanted to play hide-and-seek among the young oak trees that had replaced the evergreen grove. But children, as everyone knows, have such active imaginations, and the old-timers in Millfield County, when pressed, will tell you that some trees remember what they've tasted. That land that's fed on innocence doesn't forget the flavor. That December brings its own hungers, its own terrible needs. They'll also tell you, though only if they trust you, and only after the sun goes down, about the new Christmas tree farm that's opened up about 30 miles south. hand-painted sign at the end of a dirt road. Trees so perfect they might have been arranged by angels. Run by a nice young couple with a daughter who never seems to age. They say the trees there choose you as much as you choose them. And so, dear listeners, we emerge from another dark corner of Carman's Crypt. But remember, the horrors you've heard tonight are merely echoes of the terrors that await in the shadows of your own mind. If you enjoyed your stay in the crypt, why not invite a friend to join us next week? After all, fear is best when shared. Leave a review if you dare, or share your own tales of terror on my social media. Who knows, your nightmares might just become my next story. Until next time, keep checking under your bed. And remember, in Carman's Crypt, every fear comes alive, and no one is truly safe. Sweet dreams, if you can still sleep at all.
This holiday season, choose gifts that feel thoughtful and practical with Omaha Steaks. Whether you're hosting or gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience, and it makes you look like you planned way ahead. They've got USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, comfort meals, and tons more. Gifting Omaha Steaks is honestly one of the easiest wins. Everything arrives beautifully packaged, super convenient, and the quality is unbelievable. Their filet mignons are some of the most tender I've ever had. And the variety means you can personalize every gift. Plus, orders placed by 6 p.m. Eastern ship same day. And everything is backed by their 100% guarantee. It's holiday gifting made simple. Save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code TBONE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code TBONE.
Take your holiday green bean casserole from bland to brilliant with Hatfield Classic Cut Bacon. Start with your traditional casserole recipe. Then add a generous layer of crispy chopped Hatfield bacon on top. The rich, smoky flavor takes this holiday classic from side dish to showstopper. Your guests will savor the upgrade and return for seconds and even thirds. More holiday recipe inspiration awaits at simplyhatfield.com. Hatfield, better care, better pork, better holidays.